Welcome everyone. We're so glad you were able to join us for this Lunch and Learn webinar to share with you some wonderful and free resources that are being provided by the Family Engagement Hub project. And we're going to share some details about those resources that are being delivered in partnership with SEL4NJ on this project. So I am Patricia Heindel, and that is my information. I wear a couple of different hats, but I am serving as the Vice President and Treasurer for SEL4NJ. And Elizabeth Warner, who is not able to join us today, is the President of SEL4NJ. And we also are directors of other projects related to school culture and climate and incorporating social emotional learning and well-being in schools, as well as some other things all related to supporting schools and educators and students and families. Also with us today is Erica Brenton, who is part of the School Culture and Climate Initiative, which is in the Center for Human and Social Development. She is one of our consultants who provides wonderful support resources to schools, working side by side with educators in the school. So she'll be sharing some information about her role in providing resources in this project. So just a little bit about SEL4NJ. It is a statewide association that is engaged in advocacy work. Those are our four main goals and objectives. We are part of a national group. There are statewide organizations across the country in a group called SEL4US. And you can join SEL4NJ if you go to SEL4NJ.org. Joining is free and you receive our newsletter. There's lots of resources for families and educators on our website, and we would love to have you part of our state family, working toward making all schools wonderful places for all families, students, and educators to thrive. We presently have over 3,500 members, and we are a collective of people from very different walks, all related to providing the best education for our students in the state. So the resources and supports that we're going to be talking about today that are provided to the Family Engagement Hub through many partnerships include those from the Academy for Social Emotional Learning in Schools, the School Culture and Climate Initiative, and I'm going to be tossing it over to Erica in a second to talk about the webinars that are available that she has been presenting for this project. So those are sort of four of the buckets of the resources that we're going to be talking about that again are available for free through the Family Engagement Hub project. So Erica, would you like to start talking about the webinar series?
Sure.
Parents and
Um, yeah, so we have a webinar series that is presented twice a month. Um, the past 6 months, we've been focusing on one webinar per month for parents and one for schools and community partners, and they're all focused on social emotional learning topics. Um, these past 6 months, they've been offered in the evening, but we're actually switching to this year, 2026, to having them during the daytime. And so, just some topics that we've already presented that you can find on the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub website. You can find all the recorded webinars. We talk about how to teach self-awareness to children, what the importance of relationship skills are, how to develop self-management in children, what is social emotional learning, and how to foster those in classrooms. So these have all been very, very well received. Trish, if you could actually go to the next slide. So we've gotten a lot of really positive evaluations for well, I called them workshops here, but they're really webinars. So the content of the workshops has been helpful or very helpful to parents and school staff. The materials have been helpful or very 100% attendees say that they've been helpful or very helpful. Um, Everybody's understanding the information, the objectives were met. And there was 100% of participants agreed or strongly agreed that there was stronger, better family engagement. So we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. And so for this upcoming year, 2026, Trish, would you mind moving to the next slide? I always get Liz and Trish confused.
Well,
Um,
we're always paired up.
Yes. So starting in February, we're going to divide the webinar series a little bit differently this year. We're going to have one per month that's focused on parents, schools, community partners, so everybody who is just wanting to attend. And then we're going to have one educator series, so focus exclusively on folks who are working in classrooms in schools. Um, Although anyone can really attend. So I just want to make sure that you know that you can attend any of these webinars. And so they're usually on the third or the fourth Wednesday of every month. So for example, in February, we'll be hosting a webinar all about well-being. So how to support adult well-being for adults who are working with children. And our educator series will be all about executive functioning, so providing practical classroom tools. These webinars will be advertised on the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub website and in lots of different ways. So we really, really encourage you to attend. They are very interactive, they're very educational, and a really nice way to support yourself and also support any children that you're working with. So I could just kind of review quickly. In March, we'll be doing, and April, we'll be focusing on students who are struggling and really how to support them. In May, we'll have growth mindset. June, community engagement. And July will be all about positive language. And then for our educator series, starting in March, we will talk about building student agency and growth mindset, teaching perseverance and persistence, raising resilient students. We're talking all about AI and how we can support digital well-being with our children. And then in July, focusing on using a strengths-based approach. So please stay tuned and please come. We would love as many participants as possible in these webinars to make them go really well. Trish, I hand the baton back to you.
Thank
And
you,
if there's
Erica.
anything I'm missing, please feel free to fill in the gap.
No, that was great. And just a reminder that these are recorded and available on the website. But firsthand knowledge, Erica is a wonderful presenter and she creates lots of interaction, and it's really worthwhile joining the webinar if you can to get the best experience, but also to really hear the depth of experience and practicality and strategies that Erica can share in Q&A. So I really would recommend that you join Erica for these webinars. So
Thanks,
thank
Trish.
you very much.
Thank you.
So the webinar series is one resource area that's provided in partnership with the School Culture and Climate Initiative. And Erica Brenton, as I said, is part of our team at the School Culture and Climate Initiative. Um, the second resource that is fabulous research being offered by the Hub at no cost is designed for educators, and of course, all of us are educators. But folks who are working in schools or working in organizations aligned with schools, in community organizations, aftercare programming, before and after school programming, are all really able to benefit from the certificate program experience that's offered out of the Academy for Social Emotional Learning in schools. And if you have any questions about whether or not this is something for you, I am happy to have a conversation with you. I am the co-director of the Academy for Social Emotional Learning in Schools, which is delivered in partnership with Rutgers University. And we have been offering the Academy programming since about 2007 or 9. And it is a global experience, and I'll give you a little bit more details about what it actually looks like and feels like. But it is something that has more broad application than those who have sort of traditional leadership titles in schools. Um, so the program has two certificates. The one that's being offered out of the Family Engagement Hub project is the certificate in social emotional learning leadership. And this is again for folks who have sort of traditional recognized leadership, educational leadership titles, or people who are aspiring leaders, teacher leaders, family leaders, those who are in community organizations have gone through this program and have really evaluated the program quite highly and see applications of what they have learned into their practice every day. So it is an online program. It is global, as I said, and we have people who have joined the Academy programming from almost every state in the United States, many countries on the European continent. We've had people from Asia. We have also had people from South America, and it is a wonderful experience when you have people in your cohort from all of these different places and spaces to learn from one another and share with one another to see how there are consistent issues and consistent opportunities across the globe to better support students to thrive. Uh, so that is a link to the Academy website and the Leadership Certificate program there. And we'll talk a little bit now about what it's going to feel like. So as I said, we bring like-minded educators from across the globe together in this professional learning community. The programming contains or consists of three courses that are facilitated by experts who have been in the space of educational leadership for social emotional learning, for creating positive school cultures and climates in schools and in out-of-school programming. We combine both asynchronous learning experiences, so there are some readings that you do, reflections that you do, lots of videos, etc., that you do on your own time each week. And then there are some scattered synchronous workshops so that we can really help build an optimal sense of community and sharing. So the certificate requires three courses, and the third course, which makes this program very unique, is a practicum, which requires participants to actually implement a project in their setting that is developed during the first two courses. And that practicum project is guided by a practicum facilitator, as I said, who is an expert in this field. And there's a lot of one-on-one mentoring and support that happens in the practicum course. And then also, of course, peer support through the cohort who you are in the practicum with. So it is a non-credit bearing certificate program. And when you complete the three courses, you earn the certificate from the Academy. So here's what we have designed the experience to lead to in terms of what you can leave with through the experience of the Academy. First and foremost, we also try to always underscore the interrelationships among some of the things in the terms that we talk a lot about. And that is social emotional learning or social emotional and character development and school culture and climate. Those two things are very interrelated. A school that has a positive culture and climate is a school where all people, students, educators, and families feel that they have a voice, they feel welcomed, the school feels very well organized and managed. There is trust, there is respect for one another, and that is in the classroom, in the hallways, school-wide. That is a culture and climate that provides the best plate for learning to occur. Likewise, if all of the students and the educators in that school community have really good social emotional skills and strong character, those are the things that are needed in order to create a culture and climate that is positive. So these two things are very interrelated, and it's why we really advocate for addressing and incorporating social emotional well-being in the school experience for students, and really paying attention to the social emotional well-being of all educators, staff, and administrators as well, and a positive relationship between the school and the family, and positive and active engagement experiences. And that is what the Family Engagement Hub is all about as well. Also aligning all of what I just said to the school's core values and strategic plan and policies and practices. So everyone is really walking the talk, and social emotional well-being is prioritized in terms of the strategic plan, and the values that are shared values, core values by the school community also prioritize that well-being of all educators, school leaders, staff, and of course, students and families. We talk about and provide lots of information about how to actually do that very systemically and in a coordinated way. So there's an integration of social emotional learning with academic learning, not separate. And actually, there's decades of research that show that once you do that, actually academic learning improves, and upwards of an 11 percentile gain in standardized test scores for students. So it's not something more, it's not something in addition, it's not something that takes away from, but it's something that provides the plate where learning can actually happen. And then also starting with the self, understanding one's own social emotional skills and leadership style, and modeling what good leadership style that is resting on social emotional skills looks like. And of course, the importance of always providing space for student, staff, and parent voice so that there is a shared community. The 3 courses are there for the leadership program. And as I said, the certificate is awarded for completing all 3 courses. And it's a pass, no pass basis. So this opportunity is offered at no cost, which is fabulous. So if you want to spread the word to educators, to other people who you know, it is a great experience for particular teams of educators to go through the program at the same time. Very well received. We have had very large cohorts from large districts in Maryland, for example, go through the program together. And their feedback has been that the experience of sending cohorts of educators together has created a sort of a cadre of people who can support one another in this work, turnkey what was learned in the academy, and really sustain the work in their school or in their agency. And there's a link there to the enrollment application process. And again, I am more than happy to talk with anyone about the program and who could benefit, and a little bit more about what it entails as needed. Happy to do so. And my contact information is on that second slide. That'll be part of the PowerPoint that you will receive. So we also offer professional development, again, at no cost, and this is through the School Culture and Climate Initiative. The School Culture and Climate Initiative, that's co-directed by myself and Liz Warner, was launched in 2011. We have worked with over 250 schools at this point in New Jersey, but we've also worked with a couple of schools in Chicago, and we're moving more and more into the Midwest and also into the Northeast. Um, Professional development is provided through the School Culture and Climate Initiative, again, at no cost, and it can be delivered either by in-person or virtual. Our professional development workshops that we have are for staff, for parents, and can be tailored for each school or each community agency or group or parent group. We actually do that all of the time. We would be talking with people first before we actually would go in and provide any kind of workshop or professional development so that we make sure that we know what you need and that what we are presenting is as helpful as possible. These are some of the areas of professional development that we focus on. Again, social emotional learning that I've talked about, school climate, things like trauma-informed practices, all the things that create that kind of climate in a school where all students, parents, and staff can thrive. So here are some of the specific ones that we can provide. And again, we can develop individualized ones as needed. But we have workshops focusing on adults. So we do a workshop where adult social emotional learning is the focus. And we have a reflection tool that adults can use to really explore their own competencies in the skills that are in that bucket of social emotional skills like self-awareness, social awareness, um, regulation, positive decision making, communication skills, relationship skills, things like that. And then how and where we are as adults using and tapping into those skills and where we might have some opportunities for improvement in the social emotional well-being and skill area. Bullying and harassment prevention. In New Jersey, the anti-HIB, harassment, intimidation, and bullying law went into effect in 2011. And I bring that up because in that law, um, schools are required or mandated to assess and address school climate because of the known relationship of school climate to reducing bullying and harassment. How to create a positive school climate, how to be sure that the climate is aligned with the need for a positive and welcoming environment in the classroom and beyond. Culturally competent schools, integrating SEL into the curriculum, belonging and connectedness, how to bring social emotional learning school-wide and into the classroom, social emotional learning for families. And Erica just described a couple of the webinars that she is providing that tap into families and parents' social emotional skills. Student mental health, trauma responsive classrooms, understanding student behavior, and encouraging a positive student engagement are some of the ones that we have available. But as I said, we are really happy to individualize these to really make sure that we are delivering what is the best for you. And these are offered at no cost through the Family Engagement Hub project. Elizabeth Warner has joined us. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for popping in a bit late, but I'm here nonetheless. And so thanks for sharing all that, Trish.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in and talk about the SEL coaching resource?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So as Trish and Eric have been going through, we're so pleased to be able to offer this wide variety of supports. And we know that schools are always at different places on their journeys, and every school is different. So the SEL coaching support is really very tailored to every school's situation. And it's really a way of developing teacher skills and building cohorts of teachers who can then go on to support one another. So again, like everything else that we provide, whether it's the professional development or other things, is it's very tailored to each school So we really, really encourage you to reach out to us and we can put together, whatever combination of SEL coaching, professional development, spots on the academy that work best for you. So the SEL coaching is really structured where, again, it could be one-on-one or small group or a combination. But it's really a wonderful way of strengthening already, kind of teacher leaders and those that are really great at social emotional skill building in themselves and helping their students, as well as for new teachers. So this is kind of a support and process that really fits the gamut of experienced teachers to new teachers. And the idea is to build capacity within the school so that schools don't have to always rely on external providers. And we know, full disclosure, we are an external provider, but we work to really develop the skills internally. So the SEL coaching, as you can see, it's very collaborative. Our Erica, actually, who you met earlier, she does a lot of the SEL coaching as well. We'd be sitting down and very collaboratively talking about, well, what do we want to achieve as a cohort or a one-on-one? What are some of the specific sort of issues that might be worthwhile exploring a bit more deeply? It's goal setting, it's co-teaching, there's observation and mentoring, and a way to really reflect back. And as mentioned before, this can be one-on-one or small group or a combination. So, again, really encourage you to reach out and together we can kind of explore what might be best for your particular school and, and kind of craft an approach together. We do suggest with the SEL coaching that it is for a minimum of 3 months. And that's because there is observation, there's reflection, it's practicing the skills in your own classroom. So it really does benefit from a couple of months. And some schools have done it 6 months or a year or kind of ongoing to try to have all their entire staff participate. So anyway, that said, again, I don't know at the end, oh, look, we have some more information about this, which is sort of what I just said, is that it's actually we found really beneficial to the entire school community. The teachers love it because it's about them. It's very personal. It's helps them be strengths oriented and, kind of really help address if they are having behavioral challenges in the classroom, kind of using an approach that benefits all the students, as well as, of course, the staff member itself. And administrators, it's just really strengthening the team, which is fabulous. And we all know it's really interesting when you look at staff well-being. A lot of the research shows that one of the key things to address morale and staff well-being is to really have ways of working together. And this is a really lovely way of working together that's positive. And so the journey itself, so to say, is really, really beneficial. So we'd love to bring this to some of the schools. So, Trish, do you want to talk a little bit about SCAPE and then I can fill in the blanks?
Sure, sure. So I mentioned earlier the School Culture and Climate Initiative a couple of times. One of the things that we provide through the School Culture and Climate Initiative is a 3-year school climate assessment and improvement process. And this is a research-based process initially designed by Maurice Elias, who is the co-director with me of the Academy for Social Emotional Learning in Schools, who is at Rutgers University. He's known as globally known as an expert in school climate and in social emotional learning. And in 2009, we took over the climate improvement process project that he had started through a grant that was going away. And he still is a wonderful colleague and friend. So we have adapted the process as needed, revised as needed, obviously over time as more research appears in terms of what are the drivers of school climate for all of the key stakeholder groups, students, of course, but staff and families. And so that climate assessment and improvement process, which we call SCAPE, which is much easier to say, is a 3-year guided process. We can provide a year zero support for a process that is designed for 3 years as an intentional, data-driven, systemic process supported by our staff to assess the school climate from the perception of all of those key stakeholder groups, and to then create some objectives for improvement, create action plans to achieve those objectives. And we provide a very comprehensive climate survey, as well as help staff in the school to collect other data related to climate that are indicators or drivers of climate. So year zero, sort of preparing or prep year, is an option that's available for schools as sort of a standalone. But ideally, that 1 year, year zero, would be time for a school to take the time to assess where you are in terms of school climate, and to begin to create the internal infrastructure that we know is quite helpful and foundational for ongoing school climate focus and improvement. In the SCAPE process, we support schools in expanding the state required school safety and climate teams to be sure that there's really good broad representation of staff on that team. That team becomes sort of the table where the focus on school climate is, and where the work is led. We also support schools in creating a student climate team, and the students are wonderful. They do such great work that creates such impactful change on the climate of the school. So we can begin to help create those internal infrastructures needed to make sure that there's going to be a systemic but also sustained focus on school climate moving forward. And this year zero can set the stage for a more intentional long-term focus, where, as I said, we provide all of those tools I mentioned that are part of the SCAPE process. And not only a baseline measure of the perception of school climate from all of the stakeholder groups, but a follow-up post check-in to see what changes have occurred, where there are still some strengths that we can point to, where the opportunities for improvement were, and where they are at the end of the process. Again, setting the stage for continued work on understanding those strengths of the climate in your school. Where did they come from? What are the root causes of those strengths to keep them going? And also continuously work on opportunities for making the school climate better for all of the key stakeholder groups. So Liz, do you want to fill in a little bit more?
Sure. Thanks, Trish. That was a lot of information and really helpful. We added this to the offerings of to the Family Engagement Hub grant opportunities because we know that schools have been doing needs assessment, and one of the areas that was being assessed, kind of reflected upon was school climate. So this is really great. Any school can benefit from a year zero. And we've had experience in supporting two schools in Chicago public school system in taking a fundamental year zero approach. Really, really helpful. It's great as a single standalone, as well as Trish, really provided all that great information about what the 3-year process, which is very comprehensive, does. So year zero, any school can benefit from it. It's great, and it helps schools really address the school climate part of the needs assessment that you've done if you're one of those schools. So, just as a little bit of background too, Trish mentioned this 3-year SCAPE process is considered best practice. Globally, it was designed by Dr. Marie Elias and expanded upon by us. Within New Jersey, over 175 schools have completed the 3-year process. And it's really established them with a great foundation to kind of weather whatever comes. So would love to again talk to schools about this. What it might look like in your particular school is very important. Cookie cutter approaches we found just don't work. So
Right.
with all of our resources, we're there to really support you.
Right, right. I would just add too that we have also worked with full districts through the SCAPE process. We all know that kids grow up, they move through different school buildings in their district. Sometimes that experience of transitions can be challenging, but if we can work with a full district, or a full district can focus on really being very integrated in terms of their approach, the core values, the strategic plan really being live and lived in each of the schools, really paying attention to the consistency in those values and what students um, are seeing in terms of what's being modeled in terms of core values for each of those buildings being very aligned. So those transitions are easier for kids. And just coordinating the work across the district better with the help of sort of Switzerland coming in and taking a look. So full districts also have benefited from doing this 3-year process across all schools as well. So year zero, we're happy to talk to anybody about taking this really good hard look at where you are now. So last, before we sign off, Liz, do you want to mention SEL Day?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. SEL Day, for those of you who may not be familiar, and for those who are familiar, this year is going to be on Monday, March 2nd, which kicks off SEL Week. And what SEL Day/week is a chance for schools, community organizations, you name it, to really celebrate and highlight the great work that they've been doing all year in building social emotional skills and infusing all those wonderful things that go along with the social emotional skills like kindness and respect and goal setting, you name it, to basically be able to share and highlight it. And in the past, this is a global initiative. It's in its 6th year. New Jersey has always been front and center in this movement. For the last 5, 6 years, the governor has signed a proclamation, kind of proclaiming SEL Day as SEL Day. The State Board of Education, the Department of Education are all great partners in this. And New Jersey has always been at the top in terms of how many schools and individuals participate. So please feel free to join. I think we've have a really, really very organized person who has just put the selday.org link in the chat. Please click on that. Join. There's no cost. There's no obligation. But once you join selday.org and kind of sign up on SEL Day, you'll be eligible. Well, you'll start to receive all sorts of ideas about SEL Day and ideas that you can do in your school. We encourage schools to kind of share via social media within their school community to tag us, and then we share globally kind of the fun things that you've been doing. The theme this year is around community skills for career. So it's another great way of kind of engaging your parent communities and your business communities to let them know, hey, we're preparing kids, to succeed in the workplace. Because, data after data and research study after research study and just common sense shows that to succeed post school, you need to be able to set goals. You need to be resilient. You need to be a good team player. You need to be an empathetic, good listener. all of those are social emotional skills, and all of those are what make and break young people in the workplace. So kind of sharing that information, I think it's a great theme because it's so practical. It goes across political lines. Everybody, and the research shows that as well. It's like just wherever you are on the political spectrum, everyone believes kids need these skills, whatever you call them. So it's a wonderful way of engaging parents, of kind of bragging, highlighting about the great work you're doing all the time. So please sign up for SEL Day, sign up for SEL4NJ, which is our particular state um, as well. So it's really exciting. So last year, 400 schools in New Jersey participated. This year, we'd love to see multiple people from each school participate. Kind of some of the things schools have done in the past is everything from art projects to bulletin board projects to dancing, like pick a social emotional skill and write your own dance to it. What does kindness feel like in you? Or being self-aware of your emotions. So it's really exciting. No project is too small and no project is too big. It's kind of, this is where really it's the more the merrier, and anything that celebrates, these competencies are great for everyone.
So, Liz, did you say how people can sign up for SEL?
Yep, just go on to selday.org, and in the chat, you will see a link for SEL 2026. And that way, then, if you sign up on selday.org, you will be then a part of SEL4NJ, and you will be getting lots more information about SEL Day. And also, I'd like to add that we are hosting
Yeah.
two different brainstorming sessions for schools. One on January 30th at 1 p.m. via Zoom, and that is open for schools all over New Jersey, all over the United States, all over internationally. Last year, we had a couple of international schools, and they were great. So schools will kind of be sharing, getting inspiration, sharing what they're doing. It's a chance just to get some inspiration and connect with other schools. And then another session, which is on February 10th at 1 p.m. as well, another opportunity. So we will be sending that out to every school that signed up on selday.org, the links for those sessions and everything.
Great. So let's go back to you all and see if there's any questions. I've looked through the chat, and thank you, team Family Engagement Hub, for putting all of those links in. Any questions that anyone has? Happy to answer those.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can sign off then.